This show is supported by you, our listener. Stick around till after the news to hear more about that. This is Cup of Go for January 28, 2026. Keep up to date with the important happenings in the Go community in about 3 or 4 hours a week.
Yeah, the episodes have been getting long.
I'm Jonathan
But
Hall.
this week, our audience is here to check us and make sure that we're standing in time because this episode is recorded live in San Francisco.
Live from San Francisco, it's Cup of Go.
Yeah, for sure. We need like a KTLM on the news.
So this week we're going to talk about one accepted proposal. This is an old proposal. It's only 4 digits long in terms of the issue number 9859, proposed back in February of 2015, more than 10 years ago. Yeah, but it's been accepted. I'm quite certain this won't make it into Go 1.26 since that's just around the door. It's already been frozen for quite a while. But in 127, we should see direct references to embedded fields in struct literals.
Directed references to embedded fields in struct literals.
Yeah, does that make
sense?
sense?
Can you break that down for me?
I sure can.
So you have a struct literal, so it's like, it has an embedded field. So
right.
It's like struct A, and it has an embedded struct inside it.
That's right. And you know how annoying those are, right?
Yeah, because you have to like open, let's say the structs are A, B, and C. You have to open struct A, and then open struct B, and then there it's like an int or whatever, and you're like, C is 1.
Right. No longer. Now you can just reference those embedded fields directly. So it's just A, C int. Boom, done. You don't have to reference that embedded struct name anymore.
That sounds pretty easy. Why did it take like 15 years or whatever?
I don't know.
Was it just like not important enough, or did it break some?
I have not read through the 100 plus comments on this issue to understand all the politics that might have gone into it, but
it's like archaeology at this point, right?
Yeah. It is interesting though that the first few comments, of course, happened right when the issue was opened in 2015. Then nothing happened until 2017. There were a few comments there, and then it jumps to 2020. So it's not like it was active this whole time. It was sitting dormant for years at a time between comments. Anyway, I'm quite excited to see this come through. It will let me refactor some code to be much more readable.
Do you think that changing like the struct initialization from the way it is now, like the verbose annoying version with, A, then B, the embedded part, and then C, which is the actual value, to A and then C directly, will go into Go fix, like the modernizer? Or is that not a safe thing?
I don't know about that. I don't see why it couldn't, but it's also, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I mean, why refactor your own code if Go fix could go ahead and fix it for you? I'm all about letting the robots like do all the coding work for me anyway.
Well, so
but if I could not burn tokens on this specific instance, I'd rather keep them for like generating memes.
I was going to say you don't need the fix robot since we have other robots now. You can just say go refactor my code, Claude, and it'll do it for you. But
yeah, and then 80% of the structs are going to be fine, and then 20% I'm going to meet in production 3 a.m. Cool. So this is accepted, but not marked for 126. So it's probably 127.
This should be a 127 thing, right?
All right. So I guess one homework thing for me is to check if the issue tracker has a Go fix thing on it, and if not, maybe I can be the one that opens that issue.
There you go.
Maybe finally I'll have an accepted issue after all my heartbreak and rejections. Another proposal we want to talk about is generic methods. And I thought we already had generic functions. So why is this like a proposal?
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You did a little bait and switch there, didn't you? And you know it. You did.
Yeah. I know what I did. I'm like lobbing it up for you.
Yeah. So yes, we do have generic functions, but we have not had generic methods yet. Now let me clarify. At the moment, you can have a generic method. You can have a method on a generic type. That's possible today, but you cannot have a generic method. That is to say, you cannot have a type parameter in the method definition. And the reason for that historically has been that the view of the Go team was that the reason to have methods is to satisfy interfaces. That's an important thing to remember here, right? Because this proposal doesn't fix that problem.
Okay.
So the traditional view has been The reason for a method is to implement an interface, and we can't do generic interfaces for complicated set reasons, maths and sets and stuff like that we're not going to get into in this program, mostly because I don't fully understand it. But
yeah, me neither.
The point here is generic methods on an interface are quite complicated / impossible, like logically speaking. However, the Go team has come around, or potentially come around. Parts of the Go team. This is still a proposal; it's not accepted yet. But the thinking has started to shift that maybe there are other reasons, legitimate reasons, to use methods that don't necessarily implement an interface.
Yeah, because you can have a method that doesn't implement an interface, like they'll compile and work.
Sure. Yeah.
So you don't have to implement an interface to have the method.
Right.
Again, this offers, let's say I have, again, class A and method B. Now, method B
what's
can
a
take
class?
a type B. You know what I meant, Scott, whatever. Receiver.
There you go.
The receiver
Okay.
is the word I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just so Java-brained. We'll not talk about it this episode. But you have, I'm about to say class again. You have the receiver.
Yeah.
It may be generic or may not.
Right.
And then you have the method, and now the method may be generic. So the method might accept a type T as well.
Right.
I'm sort of wondering, how does that work? Does it actually create? Now it's just a proposal, so it doesn't work yet. But
with the proposal, you can create a method that has its own type parameters, so unrelated to the receiver's type parameters that may or may not exist.
And same as normal generics, I can pass the type in the square brackets, or I can ignore it if it can be inferred.
Right.
Cool.
The limitation is that these methods, these generic methods, will never satisfy any interface, except any, I suppose.
Other than the any interface.
Exactly. Right.
Not confusing at all. A great way to phrase it for an audio show where you can't show code. It doesn't satisfy any interface other than the any interface.
Yeah.
But if you you can't define generic methods anyway. So on an interface. So the only problem is if you have a name collision on this method. So it can't be like get in the interface and then a generic get method in the implementation.
Right.
Well, you could just name it like get T, right?
And importantly, I think this is the most important thing to take away from this whole thing. We already understand that your generic method will not satisfy an interface. It will not satisfy an interface even if your type parameter is of the type of the interface. So let's make that concrete. Let's say you have an interface, the stringer interface, right? String that returns string, the type string. Mm-hmm. You could create a generic method called string that returns T. So T is a type parameter. It could be a string or int or float or whatever, right? If you have an implementation that does, if you use it such that T now equals string, it still does not satisfy the stringer interface.
Oh, so even if my at runtime, it knows because of like generics at compile time, that this could theoretically, it looks like the normal string, it's not going to accept it.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. And this proposal is likely accept or just in talks, or where is it standing?
It's a new proposal. It was just opened last week. So it's,
So now is the time to jump on it and put the comments that in 2035 people are going to be reading it and be like, oh, whatever. Well, I'm not reading that. Now is the time.
So the biggest thing I got from this was understanding the history about why we don't have generic interface or generic methods. And
you still don't understand.
I don't,
so don't lie to me.
I don't understand exactly the math behind why they're not allowed. I do understand there's a legitimate reason. It still annoys me that they're not allowed. I really want generic methods, and I don't think this is really going to satisfy me. I mean, I'm in favor of this proposal. I think it's better than nothing, but I don't think it's getting close enough to useful for most cases to really be a big deal. But
yeah, I can get that. I mean, I don't see myself using it, but when I'll reach to it, it'll be nice that it's there. I'll like if I were to implement this, I'd expect it to work, and I'd be surprised that it didn't.
Yeah.
But the link is in the show notes, which is on your whatever app that you're listening to right now. So if you do have an opinion about this, this episode comes out now. It's going to be like a week and a day old. It's a good time to jump on the thread and be like, I'm going to use this for this in this case, and I don't like it for that and those reasons, blah, blah, blah. That's it for our news section. Let's jump to our sponsored ad break.
What?
Welcome to our ad break. This episode is sponsored by Quantcast, who are also hosting it live. And here's a Quantcast representative to tell you all about him.
Thank you, Shai. Talk a little bit about Quantcast here. As I've mentioned, we're a 20-year advertising company. We are focused on solving very hard, large modeling and software engineering problems and making that very, very easy for our customers. So we look across the entire internet. We bid millions and millions of times a second and use a large number of different models and machine learning algorithms that we've applied in order to figure out what is the best bid on each one of those requests. We do this in a way that we can then very easily explain to our customers. So any company out there that has a product to sell, something they want to make people aware of, can very simply and cleanly understand how to set up and run that campaign. It's a lot of fun. We have experience with several different projects where we are using Go as the base, processing, again, millions of requests a second, many, many petabytes of data a day.
If you're listening right now, what does Quantcast have to offer for the average Go developer who's listening right now? Are you hiring perchance?
Yep, we do have a few positions open for software engineers and for machine learning engineers. If you are listening online, you can find us at quantcast.com, quantcast.com/careers. We'll have the open positions.
Thank you so much for sponsoring Cup of Go and hosting the meetup.
Woo! Thank you.
We're not going to do our usual ad break stuff this ad break because it's sponsored. I'll just say thank you to all our Patreon supporters for helping us support the show. And you can find all the links, all past episodes, the swag store, including the stickers, the hats, the hoodies, etc. at cupago.dev. All the links are there. And to email us, it's news@cupago.dev. There's news@cupago.dev. Let's move on to our 3-year celebration, or do we have anything else for the ad break?
Nope. I think we're ready to go.
All right. So if you've been following Cup of Go for a while, we've been doing this show for 3 years. Our first episode was January 23rd, 2023. Things were so different back then. We were like 6 Go versions before this one, which is 3 years. That works out, right? We were just talking about the telemetry debacle. We were both living in different countries. Jonathan was living in Europe. I was living in Israel. We're both in the States now. So everything changed basically during these 3 years. I think we've gotten a little better at doing the show. But we've asked some of our listeners to just send in some voice notes with some feedback about the show, just as a sort of way to involve the crowd and say, like, thank you to our listeners. Like about 50% of the reason I do this, other than learning Go. So thank you, listeners. Jonathan, who do we have like on the line? Although this is not online at all. This is like a super pre-recorded thing.
Yeah, super pre-recorded, not live at all. First, Pato Whittingslow.
Hey, Shai. Hey, John. Happy Cup O Go anniversary. Pato coming in from Argentina here. Longtime listener. Been with you since the first episode. And just want to say I really enjoy the podcast. Particularly enjoy the sort of dynamic you two have, oscillating between approval and disapproval of Linux, and the tolerance for Python and non-tolerance, if that's even a word. But yeah, really, really dig this stuff. Keep it up. And yeah, here's to another year of Cup of Go.
Wow, thanks, Pato. I think the word you're looking for in terms of Python is hatred. We're oscillating between toleration and hatred of, and yeah, it's super cool to have a listener from like Argentina, because I've never been to Argentina and I know like a couple of people from there, but it's crazy how worldwide the show has gotten. Like whenever I look at the stats and there are like people listening. For me, one good example is there are many listeners from countries where I could never fly to because I'm like Israeli. And they could never fly to Israel because they're like from enemies, like countries that are enemies. But we're all like, you know what? Together from, I don't know, Yemen and Israel, together we can all hate on dynamic typing. Like together as a society.
Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya as we hate on dynamic typing.
I mean, unironically, it is kind of cool that I would never like meet these people in real life just because of the countries we live in, but they can listen to my podcast and like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Pato wasn't done. He had another aside here that he sent after that.
Oh, dip.
As an aside, I wouldn't mind more out of the ordinary Go content, like using Go in unexpected places, like graphical user interfaces, using GPUs, and I mean not your typical LLM, but something more out of the box. So yeah.
So I agree with Pato. I think we both do. We like to find these unusual stories, and we do talk about them occasionally. Last week we talked about Gopher.js, which is a little bit of an unusual thing. A listener reached out to me a few weeks ago who works at a gaming company, and I'm trying to get him on the show. I don't know if he's going to be able to come on. Depends on his PR department at his company. But he's using Go at a gaming company. I won't say names until everything's squared away. But yeah, we're looking for those sorts of things too. And if you're a listener and you work with Go in some unusual capacity, please reach out. We'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, some of my most memorable interviews that we've done there was one guy who did Go for DNA. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like encoding DNA into JSON using a Go library. And I was like, man, that's dope. I can read the code and like understand DNA. I had a few days when I walked around, I felt like I can see the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually tried to read the code. It was super complicated. And of course I think we have an overrepresentation of people doing GUI applications just because Andy is such a friend of the show and he covered for me a few times. So fine comes up way more than I'd expected to. But yeah, if you have the Slack channel is #CupOfGo and the Go for Slack. So if you have any suggestions for, we use Go in like submarine software or whatever, let us know. All right. I think we have time for a few more voice notes.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple more here. And then speaking of fine voice notes.
I absolutely love the Cup of Go podcast. Thanks so much both for what you've brought. It's amazing to me that I can engage on the other side of my audio player and feel like I'm learning along with you. Most of what I've learned about Go, I think I've learned about here, and you help me to understand what I should focus on and what I shouldn't. But mostly, it's just fun to hear the conversation, to feel like I'm part of a community that's growing here. Plus, you're both a lot of fun, and I look forward to another live episode when we can catch up face to face.
All right, so this was Whisper, like with the Irish mode on. This was AI, the demo, because this is like perfect Irish accent.
Whoa!
Or do I recognize
Scottish,
that voice?
Scottish.
Oh no, Scottish.
I don't think you might not be able to talk to this guy anymore after that. Yeah, that was Andy Williams. He's the guy that Shai was just talking about, who works with Fine, FYNE, the GUI toolkit for Go.
And looking back, one of the things that happened during these 3 years, I don't know why I'm so reminiscent and bleary-eyed right now, but was like while we were recording these weekly episodes, I had to drop for a little while because there was like a little tiny war going on where I was living. And Andy covered for me like 3 episodes, I think, or something.
Could be, yeah. That's about right.
So hugely appreciate it. And I met him here in San Francisco. It was one of the meetups. Yeah. So chance to meet nice people.
So one more here from Jamie Tana.
Happy 3rd birthday. The thing that I love the most about the podcast is the mix of news and interviews. In particular on the news, it really is great just like getting a chance to hear what's going on in the community, in the ecosystem, without necessarily keeping an eye on Reddit, Hacker News, all the other places that these sorts of things can be in, especially as someone who isn't necessarily as much working on Go directly at the moment. It's been really great. Keep up the amazing work. Look forward to the next year.
Wow.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
Shucks.
I'd never considered that I might be somebody's substitute for Reddit. That's actually feels pretty good.
We're taking food straight out of YC's mouth. The poor people at YC. How do you summarize 3 years of doing the podcast, John?
Wow. So I never thought we'd be doing it for 3 years later, for sure. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. What else? It's still fun. There are weeks when I don't want to record, but in general, it's still a lot of fun to do. So that's why I keep doing it. If it's ever not fun for an extended period, you'll stop hearing my voice every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. I also really enjoy the feedback we've been getting, and we get more of it as we grow. and we get more listeners. But when I was at Go West in Utah a few months ago, got some great feedback from people there. Just thanking me for doing the shows. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I guess I'll keep doing it as long as it's still enjoyable. And so thanks everybody for supporting the show and helping to fill in when one of us can't make it, and coming on and interviewing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and all the Slack channel lurkers, we also see you. Thank you for just reading all the messages and never contributing anything. The fact that the numbers are high, it's also a nice side effect. I'll say that I'm also surprised we're doing it after 3 years, but that it definitely helped me stay on top in many other things that I'm doing, as engineer. Just help me remember. And be in Go, they just released this new thing. So maybe at work, I can implement it here or there. So as long as I'm professionally programming, I'll take this, try to keep up with the language I like the most on a weekly basis thing. Maybe not a podcast, maybe not a blog. Maybe, I don't know how, but this has been a good habit to have. Once a week, go over all the boards, go over the notes, and stay sharp on stuff. It's given me a distinct advantage. And yeah, it's also fun to do it with you. So that's been a benefit.
Yeah, awesome.
And that's it for this week's program. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Program exited. Goodbye.
Program exited. Goodbye.